Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the end of the season episode of Podcast Name Deferred. I am your host, Seven. With me is my right-hand man, the sexiest man in Santa Ana. We got Craig Newton with us, and of course, our new co-host, a man who spends more time in his room than a teenager that discovered Pornhub. We've got Ando with us this evening.
Hey, don't be giving my secrets out to everybody, man. I know it's end of the season, but you don't need to be throwing me out at first like that, man. Come on. At least let me get warmed up before you throw me out at second.
If you'd have slid into first instead of trying to run it out, you probably would have made it, but we won't talk about that. But we're going to go ahead and get right into it. We're going to start with the true end of the season, the World Series. The Dodgers do take the series, go back-to-back, our first back-to-back World Series champions since the Yankees of the late 90s in 98, 99, and 2000, as they did win Game 7, 5-4 in 11 innings. Craig, I want to start with you. What made the difference for the Dodgers in this series?
First, I'll start off with fuck the Dodgers. I don't really care what made the difference. Fuck them. I mean, I wanted them to lose. I wanted them to be crying like little bitch babies and they're little Dodger fans. And the Blue Jays could not match the energy of the Dodgers, could not match the come from behind, the clutch hitting, the clutch pitching. They had it, and they let it slip away. I'm not saying the Dodgers were the better team. I don't know if they were or not. They won, yeah, okay, fine, but still, fuck them. My comment.
Ando, what did you see, man?
You know what? First things first. Hats off to the LA Dodgers. I have always been my determining factor of a champion is to beat the champions. To be the champions, you have to beat the champions. And I think there's a lot of people in baseball that will agree with that. That being said, I also believe a massive number of people thought the Dodgers were at that level this year until they made it to the postseason. And then once they got into the postseason, beat down on the Reds, then they beat down on the Phillies, and then they destroyed the Brewers. This shows that the team, I know we give them shit for having the massive payroll that they do, but if you look at the Yankees, you look at the Phillies, to an extent, you look at the Padres, they all spend almost as much, maybe not as much deferred, but those teams have high payrolls as well. The Mets are a perfect example, and they didn't do what the Dodgers did. I also will say hats off to the Blue Jays. First time in 32 years that they made it. I will say I'm glad that they're keeping Bieber back on a $16 million option. We'll probably talk about that later.
Yep.
But we said it on the sports report. I'll say it again. That franchise and its fans have nothing to hang their head down about. Look, this was an absolutely amazing season. One play here, another play there, and they win the series, right? So in a game like baseball, you can't make massive changes. It's little tweaks, little shifts of the knobs. It's not like a total risk changing event that you have to do to make a change to your franchise. I don't think the Blue Jays will make major changes. I don't think the Dodgers will change. Again, Dodgers won't change it because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But hats off, man. I mean, I had more fun watching this than the Yankees and Dodgers last year. It's better than any series with the Astros. Might be better than any series with the Red Sox. Whoops, did I say that out loud? No, I kid. The only thing I will say would have made this better is if it were the Mariners. But again, I would have been heartbroken had it have been the Mariners lose to the Dodgers the way that the Blue Jays did. So, as a fan, I had fun for a week. I had fun for 10, 12 days. I don't think there's any other way that you could have ended baseball other than that.
I definitely think this was the best series in recent history, especially how some of these have gone. As a Sox fan, I'm always going to put 2004 ahead. I get that it was a sweep, but I'm counting everything leading up to it, the curse of the Bambino being broken. So, and that's, I'll admit it, it's a little biased, but from an unbiased perspective, this was a fantastic series.
Would you say that this series was better than the Cubs and Indians in 16?
No.
I agree.
I would honestly,
I
would say that series was two teams that, so many people consider to be a small market that a lot of people had written off that year. I remember nobody had the Cubs or the Indians going that deep or putting up that good of a series, because that series was fantastic, in my opinion, just overall. But the series between the Dodgers and the Jays this year was great. And I think the thing that made the difference to me for the Dodgers, as much as they had so many up and down moments, was when they ultimately needed to do something, they did it. And it wasn't just Shohei. Like, Shohei wasn't as much of a factor in this series. Like, Will Smith was more of a factor. And respect to Will Smith, by the way, who now holds the record for most innings caught in a 7-game World Series at 73.
Yeah, he also has won 6 championships in the last 6 years.
No, there's 2 different Will Smiths in the league.
Are there? Okay.
Yeah. But as somebody who's played catcher, like, that is tremendously hard to catch that number of innings in that short amount of time. He caught the length of the 18-inning game. Like, that's just insane. That's just nuts. So I have to say that, but also there was no other choice for MVP but Yamamoto. You can't give that to Shohei. You couldn't give that to Freddie. You couldn't give it to Will Smith. It was Yamamoto. And I said it on TikTok that night before they had announced it, right after the Dodgers won. Yamamoto was a clear choice, and he was. And I think that was a perfect way to cap it off. Kudos to him. Probably one of the best pitching performances we've seen in a World Series since Randy Johnson in 2001. I mean, Craig, would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
But I mean, it just an amazing thing. And I think that one of the things I love is there was so much parity this year in baseball, in the playoffs. And yeah, we didn't see as much of a performance out of the Phillies or the Brewers as we expected. And I think a lot of that came, and the Yankees didn't do everything that they needed to do, but the talent was there, and there was an expectation that things were going to be better. I think really the odd man out was the Reds. I think the bar was really low with them, just because of how their season went and the results that we were seeing from them. But ultimately, I think that the parity in the league was very clear, and I don't think that I don't think that a case was made for a salary cap based on what happened. Do you agree, Craig?
Unfortunately, yeah, I do agree, Tony. I do. Yeah, I do.
Ando, what do you think?
I don't know. I like the structure of a salary cap because I think it keeps everybody on an even playing field. That being said, when you have an entertaining series like you had this year between the Jays and the Dodgers, is there really an argument for it? The Dodgers did the Dodgers really have that much more talent than the Blue Jays put into the banks money wise? I don't think so. So if I'm looking at this from the outside looking in, go another couple years without a salary cap, talk about it at the next CBAs. But yeah, at this point, I'm kind of firm on we don't need it. Let's see what happens over the next couple of years. If the Dodgers continue to take it with their deferred salary, sure, I think it's something that we can talk about. But no, I'm kind of on the fence of leave it as is. Again, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
I think that we will see some rules as far as at least I think the bare minimum that we're going to see change is rules around deferred salary. I think that that's a given at this point. There's going to be, I would say, like a percentage limit, something like that.
15%.
Yeah, 10, 15% that you can defer. And, just as a way of kind of at least keeping things fair to a point. But ultimately, I will not argue for a salary cap until there's a salary floor, because the salary cap does not incentivize owners like Ken Kendricks and the owners of the A's and the Marlins to spend more. It does not give them any incentive to spend more.
Yeah.
All it does is give them an excuse to not spend above a certain amount. But they're still going to have sub $100 million payrolls unless we set a salary floor at, realistically, I think it should be like a minimum of like at 100 million, 125, maybe. I would even think 150 would be reasonable, because there's no value. You're diluting the product by allowing owners to continue to not invest in their teams. But we'll see what happens. We've got a full season ahead of us before we have to start worrying about it. We're going to see a work stoppage, like we've said. It's going to happen after the 2026 season, because owners are going to dig their heels in and try to make a case that people aren't going to listen to. And, just like we said when this happened last time, the owners don't have control of the media like they used to. So this isn't going to be the narrative that they want it to be. And I hope that shortens the time, but I don't think we see a full 162 in 2027. Yeah. But following the season, we have seen the announcement of the Gold Glove winners, along with the nominees for the other major awards that are going to be announced at the MLB Honors. I'm going to switch the layout here real quick so we can kind of start with this. First, we did see the Gold Glove. Where did they go? I know that let's do this one. Let's at least do this. Come on. Our American League Gold Glove winners, we had Dylan Dingler at first, Dylan Dingler at catcher, Ty France at first, Marcus Semien at second, Maikel Garcia from the Royals at third, Bobby Witt Jr. from the Royals at short, which was a given, Stephen Kwan for left, Cedon Rafaela for center, Wilyer Abreu for right. Your utility Gold Glove was Mauricio Dubon, and somehow Max Fried for the Yankees got the pitching Gold Glove. I figure next we'll go ahead and we'll just take a second to kind of just pick any that we think were misdone. And I'm going to start with the catcher. As much as I don't like him, Alejandro Kirk should have been the Gold Glove for catcher. He's not my favorite catcher, but the dude was automatic behind the plate this year. And I think it's and Dylan Dingler, I'd forgotten who that was. I actually had to research him because I did not know who he was. And I think that was a horrible choice for the catching Gold Glove. Any other suggestions for who could have? And obviously Cal Raleigh, because he was a human backstop back there this year, was another possible answer for who I think deserved it over Dylan. Do either of you guys have any other ideas for that position?
Nope. Kirk, I would have gone Raleigh over Kirk personally, but no, I can see the argument between
Fair.
Kirk and Raleigh.
I think it's closer between those two. Yeah. It's Raleigh. Yeah, and you're right. Raleigh is obviously, I think, is the obvious choice, but Kirk second.
Yeah.
Both of them obviously over Dingler.
You said it pretty well on the sports report that how are you going to be in the conversation for American League MVP, but you don't even win the Golden Glove at your position? It just, yeah.
That's okay. Fair. All right. So any of the other positions that anybody has anything that they would throw out as far as somebody that got snubbed?
I want to hear you talk more about the travesty that is Max Fried getting Golden Glove.
Stretch real quick here.
And that's not just because you're a Red Sox fan, but I just want to hear
how in the ever-loving hell.
Right, hold on. I need to preface this. We are now going into 7 shit talking tantrum. Let's go. There we go.
How in the ever-loving hell? How in the ever-loving hell do you give Max Fried, who wasn't even the best fielding pitcher on the Yankees, the Gold Glove, when you had guys like Garrett Crochet, Tarek Skubal, all who, and plenty of other pitchers who were consistent on the mound with how they interacted fielding-wise, which is where this is supposed to come into play. Are we just giving Max Fried because he was the only Yankee that actually had somewhat of a case for a Gold Glove? It does not make any sense to me. I don't hate Max Fried as a pitcher. I think he's an above-average pitcher. But when we look at the fielding ability of Max Fried versus some of the other people that should have been considered for this award, I think it's very, very clear that there were plenty of other choices that you could have made. And it makes zero sense to me. And or Ty France at first base. You're going to tell me you completely look over the fact that Vladdy Guerrero Jr. had probably the best season of his career offensively and defensively, and he gets completely ignored for first base? That makes no sense to me either. But I don't know. I don't get it. Like there's certain ones like Bobby Witt Jr. at short. That's automatic to me. No. There's not another shortstop in the American League right now that has the chops at that position like he does. And I can even Maikel Garcia at third. Again, there's not a lot of other third basemen in the American League that are going to be able to stand next to him and handle that position as competently. I think if Bregman doesn't go down for 2 months, 2 or 3 months, however long he was down, I think maybe we're looking at Bregman for Gold Glove. But some will say that I'm just biased because I'm a Red Sox fan. So I will say I don't have an objection. But catcher, first, and pitcher made zero sense to me.
Can I ask? Because again, I don't really follow the MLB awards, especially because they're split up in AL versus NL and not league MVPs or league Golden Gloves. Because Eduardo Suarez played with the Diamondbacks and then got traded to the Mariners. Would he not qualify because he played in both leagues that year, or does that take it off the table?
Craig, you have a little bit more experience in this.
That's a good question. Either league, he wasn't that good in either league compared to the other people I would have picked over for Gold Glove. So I mean, for me, he's a non-starter.
Okay.
But still a good question.
Right. Yeah, no, because I figured something like that would have had to kind of play into effect. I think there should be a minimum, maybe the pitcher position and especially the utility, because the pitchers aren't going to be on but once every 5 games, and that's if they're healthy. But I think there has to be a minimum of like 120 games played. You have to have this few of errors to meet the criteria. So, I mean, something like that. There's got to be criteria that obviously I don't know because, like I said, this is the first real season that I've been following baseball in quite a while. So
I agree with Tony. I would have picked Scooble as my Gold Glove, and I would have picked Vladdy Jr. as my Gold Glove.
Yeah,
But Scooble
both
especially. I
reasonable.
mean, my God.
Yeah,
yeah,
he's automatic every time he's on the mound.
Yeah, he is.
And we're gonna talk about Scooble a little later on too, with some of the trade rumors that are coming up because of how far apart he and Detroit are on a contract. I think that's going
Come
to be one of
on
the
over to the
interesting.
Giants. Come on over to the
It's-
no,
Giants.
don't go to the
Plenty of
Giants.
room. Plenty of room.
Go to the Mariners.
What's and like I said, we're gonna talk about it, but the Mariners, the Red Sox, and
Please don't say
the there was a third team. It was the Mariners, the Red Sox, and there was another team.
Astros.
I think maybe it was the Astros. There was an article on ESPN where they had like three teams. Hey, what's up, Key? Where they were talking about as far as possible options. It's just like teams that actually have the ability to put a package together that's gonna be worth the entertainment of trading a guy like Tarek Skubal. But we'll talk about that in a bit. All right, so now let's switch over to the National League Gold Gloves. And of course, this one, for some reason, the Gold Gloves were the only two that didn't load like they were supposed to. National League Gold Glove winners, we had Patrick Bailey at catcher with Logan Webb as the pitcher, the first pitcher and catcher battery from the same team, the Giants, since Yachty and Adam Wainwright won it in 2013 as members of the Cardinals. Matt Olson from the Braves at first, Nico Horner from the Cubs at second, Key Brian Hayes from the Reds at third, Mason Wynn at short. He's from the Cardinals. Ian Happ from the Cubs at left. PCA Pete Crow Armstrong at center. Fernando Tatis Jr. at right. Javier Sandia, the utility. I am going to be honest with this one. I'm not sure about Mason Wynn at short. That's honestly my biggest objection. I think there were probably better choices in that department. What do you guys think?
I'm going to be honest. I didn't follow DNL a whole hell of a lot this year, man. So I don't know names off the top of my head.
Craig, what did you see, man?
I agree with you. I think there's a number of other shortstops that could have got that award over Win. The rest of them, I'm really happy. I'm happy with. I mean, especially Pete Crow Armstrong. And no bias. I mean, Giants. I mean, pretty happy with that. But yeah, shortstop.
Are you
No, I
surprised
wasn't
that there's no
surprised.
Dodger players on the Golden Gloves?
I was.
No,
You
You're not
weren't.
surprised?
No. And here's the thing, because we look at the obvious choices. First would be Freddie Freeman for first. He is an above average first baseman. I will not deny that. But Freddie was kind of up and down this year with his performance. And I'm not just saying it to play it, I'm saying fielding as well. Like there were times he didn't make plays he should have. And that to me said a lot. Mookie at short, another choice that I think was probably at least considered. And I think the writers, he was probably up there in votes for that position. But again, there were some times where he came up short. Get it? And Max Muncy for third. No, he wasn't it. He wasn't it.
No.
I mean, it's just for me. I think the closest that you might have come is Will Smith, this catcher. But Patrick Bailey is just a better catcher defensively than Will Smith. And I have no objections for Patrick Bailey getting it at the plate. He was not the best this year. This was a down year hitting for Patrick Bailey, but this isn't about hitting. It's about fielding and doing your job for your position defensively. And you can always rely on Patrick Bailey for that. So no objections there.
No.
Well, go ahead.
No, well said.
All right.
What about Ellie De La Cruz? Would you put him in the top 3?
I would say he was probably the second vote getter for his position. He had to have been.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think that he probably had a couple of errors that were just a little too much.
Okay.
He's still young. I think he's right there on the cusp. I wouldn't be surprised because of the way that he's been developing as a player. I wouldn't be surprised to see the 2026 season be his first Gold Glove year, personally.
Yeah.
I like Ellie. I'm a big fan of Ellie De La Cruz.
Yeah, me too.
Next, we have the 2025 Contemporary Hall of Fame ballot. This is not the traditional ballot. These are ones that your contemporary committee will be voting on. I know we're going to be having a bit of a discussion about this one. But just as a quick recap on who that's going to be on that ballot, the 8 members that are the 8 players that are going to be considered are the Giants, Barry Bonds, Red Sox, Roger Clemens, Jays, Carlos Delgado, Giants, Jeff Kent, Yankees, Don Mattingly, Braves, Dale Murphy, Tigers and Yankees former star Gary Sheffield, and LA Dodgers pitcher who passed away this year, he rest in peace, Fernando Valenzuela. So, Craig, I'm going to start with you. Out of those 8, who do you think gets it?
Well, I'm going to go with the obvious answer. It's going to be Clemens and Bonds. But Jeff Kent should also be. Look at Jeff Kent's career record, stats.
Yeah.
They match up with any second baseman in the Hall of Fame right now. You know, does he have a name? No, he doesn't have the name. And he was a red ass, pain in the ass to the media. I know firsthand about that. But he was a great player and a pretty good leader. And I always enjoyed his infighting with Bonds because they did not get along at all. But I think Kent should go in also. But I don't see it happening right away because no one knows who Jeff Kent is, unfortunately. But he was one hell of a great player. Look at his stats compared to anybody in the Hall of Fame at that position. He's right up there. He's right up there with them. But Bonds and Clemens are going in for sure. Mark my words on that one. As far as the other ones, I don't know.
There's been a lot of discussion about Mattingly.
I'd love to see Mattingly go in. He had injuries. Same Dale Murphy. I mean, he had played with injuries too. Their end of career stats are not Hall of Fame. They're just not, unfortunately. And they needed 4 more solid years to get those up into Hall of Fame stats. But they're great players at their position. They were great players for their decade. But they were plagued by injuries, unfortunately. I'd love to see them, be considered. But me personally, I could not vote for them because it's not the Hall of Pretty Good, and they only had four years where they were really great players because they're plagued by injuries. So, but Bonds and Clemens absolutely will be going in.
What about, and you're going to remember, I don't remember Sheffield's career as much as you will. What about, because obviously that one's kind of another hot topic, especially because he was a Yankee as well as a Tiger. I personally put him in Hall of Very Good. I don't quite think he's a Hall of Famer. Do you agree?
No, I agree.
Okay, and Key, I saw your question. Okay, I want to pivot back real quick. Phillies catcher JT Realmuto for Gold Glove for the National League. Did he have a case for it?
Maybe, yeah.
I think he's probably top 5 vote getter, I would say. I don't think he was quite there, but I think he's a reliable catcher for sure. Ando, I know that you kind of shared your thoughts as far as they're concerned on the sports report, but just real quick recap of what you think as far as the contemporary ballot.
I wholeheartedly agree with Craig. I think Clemens and Bonds are absolute no-brainers to get in. I think with as much, especially for Bonds being the poster child of what we are calling the steroids era of baseball, for Major League Baseball to make the profit that they did, to have the eyes on the game the way that they did, and your poster boy being held with the bag and being like, "Well, sorry, you were the one who was caught. We can't let that." That to me is a travesty. You can't talk about the steroids era of baseball without Barry Bonds. And I know a lot of people feel the same way about Roger Clemens. Look, I think you and I discussed it on the sports reports. I think Craig will agree. You have a 5-man starting rotation from pitchers starting in 1990. I think 90% of them has Clemens in their starting 5. Clemens, I think with Maddox and Johnson, you can't tell the story of pitching in Major League Baseball without those 3 guys. You said Pedro is the other name. But those four pitchers were people everybody had their eyes on. Maddox because of his control with the ball. Randy Johnson being 6, whatever he was, and the towering figure. Pedro, maybe not always the winner with Boston, but he was always consistent, got you 15 to 18 wins a year. But Clemens was always kind of that outlier. I think he was there when you needed him the most. Maybe more so than Maddox. I will always say that Maddox and Johnson were my 2 favorite pitchers. For the other people on the list, I think Don Mattingly should be in. I would be okay with Kent being in because Kent doesn't make the impact that he does if you don't have Barry Bonds on that Giants team. If Barry Bonds isn't there, I think Kent still puts up numbers, but Kent got his RBIs and his runs because of the position that Barry Bonds put him in. You got to remember, they each won MVP because of each other. So, Venezuela, again, I didn't watch him pitching a whole hell of a lot. Delgado, I can give or take. The Braves pitcher,
Murphy,
Murphy. I didn't pay attention to him. I didn't watch baseball when he was pitching.
He didn't pitch.
What did he do?
He was a great outfielder and great hitter.
Oh, yeah, I'd assumed he was a pitcher by his picture, man. So
no.
And then who's the other guy? I got
Oh
7 of the
God.
8. Who's the 8th?
Sheffield.
Yeah, and Sheffield. I don't think he makes. I mean, he's a great player, but again, it's not the Hall of Great or the Hall of Very Good. It's the Hall of Fame. Narrowing it down, Mattingly, Bonds, and Clemens would get my vote if I'm voting.
I would put Jeff Kenton over Don Mattingly. Again, his like Craig said, his numbers are just ridiculous. And definitely Bonds. I think the main reason Clemens didn't get in on the traditional ballot, and Craig can confirm this, he was horrible with the media. He was horrible with the media.
He was he was a tough interview get. I mean, he really was. The best time to get him was if he was pitching on a Sunday, get him on a Saturday when he's watching the golf game in the clubhouse. Get him aside while he's signing some baseballs and stuff, and just get him nice. He's nice and relaxed. He's watching the golf. Talk golf with him. Move it into his pitching. It was pretty easy to do it that way. But yeah, he could be a tough one to track down for an interview. I got him, 3 or 4 times. So, but yeah,
Now,
he said he didn't care if he's going to go in the Hall of Fame, and that kind of attitude, writers will pay attention to that, and voters will pay attention to that and go, yeah, okay, you don't care, fine,
Yeah.
Now,
but he'll care. He will care.
Correct me if I'm wrong. He pitched for the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Blue Jays. Who else did he pitch for?
I think it was it, wasn't it?
That was it. Believe so.
Yeah, that was it.
I thought there was an NL team that he pitched for too.
No.
Okay.
Not that I recall. Yeah, no.
No.
Yeah, it's, I mean, great arm, but definitely kind of an ass and dismissive with certain things. And right, like Craig said, writers are going to see that.
He
I
did
think
pitch for the Astros.
Oh, that okay. My bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were a National League team at that point.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. They weren't American League. That's right. Yeah, good call. Yep, good call. You're right. I'm thinking American League for the Astros. Yeah, you're right.
Well, Blue Jay, he was on the Red Sox from 84 to 96. Then the Blue Jays from 97 to 98. 99 to 2003 was his first stint with the Yankees. Then from 04 to 06 pitched with the Astros and finished his career with the Yankees.
Yep. And dominant with a capital D.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Rhymes with Dick too.
Yeah. Yeah. He had that capital D for a couple of reasons. So I asked this question on a sports report, Craig, so I want to get your opinion. If you were to take, because there's been some discussion with this contemporary ballot around Sosa and McGuire. If you had the option of taking players off to put Sosa and or McGuire on, would you? And if you so, who would you pull off and who would you put on?
Oh, wow. Well, that's a good question. God, as much as Mark was good to me with interviews and all that, as much as those two together saved baseball, and they did save baseball at the height of their home run chase, they're not Hall of Fame. Sorry, they're just not. They're not.
I see your experience with that, and I respect it. My thing was, I would put Sosa I would put Sosa on the ballot. I'm not saying he would get in. I would put Sosa on the ballot over Sheffield. And that's just and primarily because there was a stint when Sosa was at his peak where he had, I'm trying to look it up. Where was it? There it is. Okay. Between 1995 and 2003, he did not hit less than, I'm sorry, only one time did he hit less than, 96 to 2003. Only one time did he hit less than 40 home runs. And you had let's see, where did it go? There it is. Hold on. Nope. There it is. Okay. You had one stretch of in 98, he had 66, 99, he had 63, 2000, he had 50. That led the league that year. 2001, 64. And that wasn't a lead leaguing. That was Bonds' year where he had 72. 2002, he had 49. That stretch right there of what is that, 5 years? I don't think you're ever going to see anybody, even Aaron Judge, have a 5-year stretch like that in the history of baseball.
Yeah.
And so, go ahead.
Well, my question would be, let's say that he does get voted in to the Hall. Will he speak Spanish or will he speak English? Because remember how this guy, and I heard him in the clubhouse speak English just fine, but when it came to the Senate subcommittee hearings on the steroid issue, and he brought in a frickin' translator, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This kid speaks English. And he all of a sudden, in front of the Senate subcommittee, he couldn't speak English anymore. I couldn't believe it.
So you're saying that they played out that scene from Tango and Cash perfectly correct, right?
Hell, Tango and Cash probably stole it from him.
Probably.
I mean, it's just, I couldn't believe that. I was like, what a joke.
And that's the thing. It's like for me, and maybe it's just because that was the era where I really fell in love with baseball. That I respect the hell out of what they did, but I also understand that when you look at consistency, which obviously with somebody that's going to be in the Hall or even on as getting true consideration on the ballot, there has to be somebody that was consistently great, and he was, as far as that part is concerned. Now, if we want to talk about because position wise, he was a right fielder, which some people don't exactly take serious, even though there's some parks that are really hard to cover right field in. You have a lot of space. He wasn't bad as a right fielder. He did his job consistently. So for me, I feel like because there's some guys like we're going to talk about the MVP candidates. And for the American League, J Ram is is the third American League finalist for the MVP. We know he's not going to win it, but he's at least getting the honor of being that third vote getter. He's at least getting the recognition for having an amazing season. And I kind of think that's where that's at least where you have to put Sammy Sosa. And sure, there's been some weird stuff. His skin just kind of changed colors a couple of times. He definitely was the inspiration for Shohei hiding behind the interpreter, I feel like. But again, I respect the talent of him. And I can tell you that if you're looking at the talent of two players, Gary Sanchez and Sammy Sosa, with the exception of Gary Sanchez's son, pretty much everybody that fell in love with that era of baseball is going to take Sammy Sosa over Gary Sanchez.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's not Sanchez, Gary Sheffield, over Sammy Sosa. So for me, that's why I consider it that way. Because I certainly wouldn't put him in over Fernando Valenzuela. I certainly wouldn't. I mean, Dale Murphy, Don Mattingly, those guys all deserve the consideration that they're getting. To me, Sheffield is more the odd man out in that ballot, and that's why I lean that direction.
I want to give. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No. I want to give roses to McGuire and De Sosa because if you remember, the season before that came off a very bitter strike. Fans were pissed off. Players were pissed off. There was a very bad juju, very bad vibe for baseball going into the next season. People were pissed off. And here comes these unlikelies, Sosa and McGuire, and they turned around the dispassion, the indifference of the fans into they were must see during the season for the home run chase. And yeah, okay, they took steroids, no question about it. But you know what? Bud Selig, who's in the fucking Hall of Fame, was the commissioner during that time. And him claiming, I see no evil, nothing, no clue what they're talking about. Bullshit. He knew, the owners knew, and Tony La Russa, who's in the Hall of Fame, managed Canseco and McGuire.
He knew.
And knew. He knew.
All the managers knew.
So all these writers and these baseball historians who come down on Bonds and McGuire and Sosa, why the fuck is Selig in the Hall of Fame? Why the fuck is La Russa in the Hall of Fame? They profited. Baseball profited. The fucking owners profited huge sums of fucking money over the steroids that were being ingested by baseball players. Not just McGuire, not just Sosa. There are many players, and a couple of them are in the fucking Hall of Fame that we know goddamn well took steroids because I don't want to get sued. or have our podcast get sued, I won't mention it. But it's clear if you do some research on it, a couple of players that took advantage of having steroids are in the fucking Hall of Fame. You got a goddamn commissioner in the Hall of Fame and a fucking manager, great manager, but he managed during the steroid era. And they claim they know nothing about it, and they're fucking lying.
Yep.
So, if Sosa and McGuire get a shot at the Hall of Fame, I will not begrudge them whatsoever. I mean, they saved baseball. They saved the game.
Absolutely.
They saved the game. And I'll stand by that. Anybody disagrees with me, I will stand by it. Sorry. I was
You're
there.
100%
I was there
correct.
during that time. I covered the game at that time. I mean, the fans went from being pissed off and what rightfully so, and the owners being pissed at the owners, and just baseball plummeted as far as in popularity. And those two, with that home run chase, saved the game.
Absolutely. It's for me, the thing that frustrates me with how the writers voted, and this is the thing that pisses me off.
Hypocrisy.
It's hypocrisy because so many of those writers, their sports writing career was built on these players that saved the game, not just McGuire and Sosa, but even if we want to talk about Clemens, Bonds, and the list, Canseco, the list goes on. Their careers were made and built on the foundation of these guys that were using steroids. You're going to talk about the purity of the game. You're going to talk about, it's your career exists because of that. You owe them that vote personally. And so like that's the part that frustrates me. And like, I'm sorry, but why the hell is Bud Selig? Let's completely take the steroid era out of it. Why the hell is Bud Selig in the Hall of Fame? The only commissioner in baseball history that's worse than Bud Selig is fucking Rob Manfred.
Fuck Rob Manfred.
And you can't, for the life of me, make an actual reasonable case for Bud Selig being in the Hall of Fame because he does not deserve it in any sense of the word.
He kissed the owners' asses.
It's commissioners like Bud Selig and Rob Manfred are why there is such a division between the players and the owners in baseball today. Now, because we can talk about the fact that this division started with the curse of the Black Sox and the creation of the commissioner position and the iron hammer that went down and all of that back in the early the 1920s. But there have been plenty of opportunities over the years to mend those fences and make things right and not have the problems that we have in baseball today. Roger Goodell is not a very good commissioner for the NFL. But there is not as sharp of a divide between the NFL players, the NFL owners, and the NFL commissioner, despite that fact. And it blows my mind that he was given this that Bud Selig was given this recognition, this honor, this distinct honor of being in the Hall of Fame, when if anybody doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, it's Bud Selig.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind. It just blows my mind. But okay. All right, let's move on. Looking at the award nominees, we're going to start with the MVP because obviously that's the big one.
Before you start doing that, for people who do not know or for people are uneducated like myself, they do make the announcements for Rookie of the Year November 10th. Cy Young, November 11th, MVP, November 12th, and then Manager of the Year, November 13th. Why do they wait so long to make those announcements? Because I know, especially in basketball, they do it in the second round of the playoffs. And the NFL, they have that NFL awards show right before the Super Bowl to make the announcements. Why does baseball wait so long to make their announcements? Do you know? Craig?
Craig?
You know what? I always forget Craig, the baseball writer, is in the room. Craig, why is that?
It's called keeping the game in the media. It's keeping baseball in the media during football season, during basketball season. That's why they do it.
So
I had a feeling that's what it was.
So Bud Selig was like, fuck the other sports. We're still going to get our names in the news. Like, yeah, fuck you, Bud Selig.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk American League MVP award finalists for the 2025 season. Yankees, Aaron Judge, Mariners, Cal Raleigh. I think those two were given. And like I said, the Indians, I will never say their other name. The Indians, Jose Ramirez. So I'm Craig, I'm going to let you take this first because Ando and I have talked about this at length. I'll let you lead off with this one. Who do you think gets it, and who do you want to get it?
Oh, God, Judge is going to get it, but I want Cal Raleigh to get it.
Okay, so we're all in agreement on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and here's the reason, and Ando and I were talking about this in the sports report. Cal Raleigh was a better all-around player. Not only was he absolutely knocking the ball out of the park this season, which nobody can object to that. But he also was arguably just one of the best defensive players in the league. Should have gotten the Gold Glove and catcher. Was an amazing catcher. Only missed it. Ando and I were talking about sports report like 5 games this year.
6 games.
6 games this year. And I know Judge missed more than that.
Yep.
And some of the games that he did play, he was just a DH. Like, for me, there's more to baseball than just hitting. And you're selling the game short by giving it to Judge because of how good of a hitter he was when Cal Raleigh was absolutely lights out at the plate and behind it, which is arguably the hardest position to play in baseball.
Unfortunately, he plays in a smaller market. That's the sad truth.
I lied. Cal Raleigh played in 159 games this year, so he missed.
So he only missed 3
games this year. That is it.
Wow.
Judge missed more games for load management.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's
load management.
It's mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
So now, what'd you see?
I'm sorry. I just got an alert that Bruce Bochy is returning to the Giants as a Giants special assistant.
Yeah,
which is perfect. Perfect to go with that new manager.
Yeah, I think Posey panicked. Is like, oh wait, this manager might suck. We better get Bochy in here so we can be in his ear to fix it.
I'll tell you what. Give me a few minutes at the end of the show to give some thoughts. I need to repent about my comments about the new manager for the Giants.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I need to do some prostate on the altar and do some baseball repenting before we end the show today.
Okay. All right. Our National League MVP finalists for the 2025 season. Obviously Shohei, Kyle Schwarber, and then the one that makes zero fucking sense to me, Juan Soto. So let's start by talking about that. Craig, you follow the National League a lot closer. How the fuck is Juan Soto third?
The might of the New York media.
Jesus.
You know? But it should be Schwarberger. It should be Kyle. That's my vote.
I like Kyle Schwarber. I wouldn't be disappointed if Kyle Schwarber got it. I think it's gonna be Shohei, but I don't think you should be giving you shouldn't be giving a DH MVP. And some would argue, well, he pitched. Yeah, he pitched 50 innings. The Marlins and the A's have position players that threw that many innings.
Yeah.
I'm not impressed. Because when he first came back and he was only doing like 1 or 2 innings in a game, until like mid-September, he was not looking very good.
Yeah.
Like it was a disappointing performance from Shohei most of the time. A lot of times he was saved by his defense or saved by shitty hitting. I was not impressed. So, but yeah,
Mouse
you should not be playing. You should not be playing with your pussy on camera. This is not OnlyFans.
Okay.
I respect the talent of Shohei Ohtani, but to say that he was a league MVP, there were players on his team that had more of an impact than he did. And to sell the game short and give Shohei the MVP does not make sense to me. But I don't know.
It's why we don't make the decisions, man. It's why we don't make the decisions. I'm for the exact opposite reason that I think Cali should win over Judge. I know Shohei played just DH. But were Schwarber's defensive numbers that much better
I'm back.
to make an impact that Shohei shouldn't be MVP? Was the fact if Schwarber played first base, right?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you, Craig.
Okay.
He played first base, right? Or was it
hold on. He was left fielder.
Okay. So hypothetically speaking, if you bat the same average, which I don't know Schwarber's numbers off the top of my head. I know he
was like 240. He had 56 home runs, but he only hit 240 this year.
Okay, what's Shohei hit?
Hold on, let me tell you what I'll say. Give me just a second. I'll pull up the comp.
Okay.
For 2025. Okay, when we look at the offensive stats, Shohei hit 282 and he had 55 home runs, so one less. So his batting average was better and he had one less home run.
Okay. So the way I look at it, they're pretty much even playing field as far as offense goes. Shohei made more contact with the ball. But did Schwarber make enough defensive plays while he played left field to be like, that's our guy for MVP? Because if, let's say, even if he commits, there's 162 games, you miss, we'll say 20 of them, right? 10% of baseball, 16 games. So we'll say he missed 20 games. So 20 from 162 is 142. So I'll say 140. He plays 140 games in left field. Can we argue that Schwarber played well enough in left field? No massive amount of errors. Constantly threw the ball in field and kept people from getting doubles versus singles. Was there enough of an argument for Schwarber to make it as MVP? Was his defense enough to go, they're equal on offense, I like this guy's defense better? And I know that that's the argument that you use because Schwarber wasn't just hitting, he was hitting and fielding. But did Schwarber make enough of a difference in his fielding and his defense to earn that MVP?
It's hard, and because and the difficulty with Schwarber, and I think it's another reason why Shohei leads the pack on it, is Schwarber only actually played in the field as an outfielder, like he had 8 games in left field, 8 games in
You're muted, 7.
8 games total in the outfield. So when we're talking about Shohei not really being as much of an impact on the pitching side because of the fact he didn't pitch a lot of innings, Schwarber only played 8 games in the outfield.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things. I think that's where the comp comes in, is because he had 154 games at DH. Like, yes, he played all 162. Yeah. To his credit, he did play in all 162 games, but 154 of them were at DH.
Yeah. See, and that's the argument that I know that you and I have used for Judge versus Raleigh, where Raleigh played 140, 150 games as catcher and was consistently catching, not making a whole lot. He only had 4 errors the entire season at catcher. He threw people out at second base when they were stealing, which shows that he's got the cannon and the accuracy to put the ball where it needs to go. So for the same reason that I think Rowley, because of what he did and his contributions for defense, should make him MVP in the AL, can we use that same argument for Schwarber over Ohtani? That's what I'm saying.
And honestly, you can't.
So that would be the reason why I think it should be Raleigh as AL MVP and Shohei as NL MVP.
At least we're in agreement that it shouldn't be Soto.
Yeah.
Yes,
like why Soto is in the
absolutely.
yeah. Like out of here, Soto.
Absolutely.
He's using his $762 million to get a vote.
That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now coming up, our next, we're gonna do Cy Young. We'll start with the American League. Our American League Cy Young finalists: Hunter Brown from the Astros, Garrett Crochet from the Red Sox, and Tarek Skubal of the Tigers. Craig, I'll let you take this one first. Who do you think gets it?
Skubal.
Ando, do you agree?
Consistent.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
That was it.
Okay. Yeah, he was. You're 100% right. Ando, what do you think?
Dude, if Skubal doesn't win it, there's going to be a mutiny in baseball. Like, don't get me wrong. Crochet and Hunter played really good baseball this year to be considered. They are not on the same level as Skubal. No. Skubal gets it.
Any other season, and it's Garrett Crochet. But Tarek Skubal was lights out this year.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's indisputable.
Skubal is not the reason that the Tigers. Skubal is not the reason that the Tigers gave up the AL Central this year. It is not Skubal's fault.
No, it's, if anything, he kept him in.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, he kept him in. All right, and then National League Cy Young, Sanchez, Christopher Sanchez from the Phillies, Paul Skeens from the Pirates, and then Yoshinobu Yamamoto from the Dodgers. Ando, I'll let you have this one first. Who do you think gets it?
So we're talking just regular season, right? We're not including any of the postseason. Okay. If we're talking just regular season, I don't see how you can't give it to Paul Skeens. Skeens was the one bright spot on the otherwise a dismal Pirates rosters. Being a Mariners fan, I can tell you how many times Felix Hernandez won Cy Young with absolutely no help and no support from the Mariners. Give Paul Skeens the same kind of compliment. The Pirates had nothing else besides Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens gets my vote.
Craig?
I can't hear him.
Oh, he may have to step out. Okay. Craig, what do you think?
A legacy Skeens get it, but Yoshinobu, the Dodgers going to get it.
You think Yamamoto's going to get it?
Yeah, I do.
I feel like when you look at these three pitchers, this is the one where there's actually a legitimate case for all three. Christopher Sanchez carried the Phillies after Zach Wheeler went down. I think Christopher Sanchez was closer to the ace this year for the Phillies than Zach Wheeler was. Not to disrespect the talent of Zach Wheeler. I think he's a fantastic pitcher, but Christopher Sanchez was absolutely stellar this year. The Samurai Yamamoto was otherworldly all year. Again, an amazing pitcher, but Paul fucking Skeens, man. And that's the thing is it's with Tarek Skubal. Like he's the very clear and obvious choice, but like with those other two, if it was any other season, chances are they're going to get it. Like if Skeens doesn't have the year that he had, we have a legitimate question of contention between Yamamoto and Sanchez, and it ends up leaning more towards Yamamoto because of the fact that he was pitching for the Dodgers, and this is obviously a much bigger market than the Phillies. But yeah, I think it's Paul Skeens.
I like your point
Okay.
though with Sanchez. I mean, when Wheeler went down, if Sanchez didn't step up, it would have been a dumpster fire for the pitching staff for the Phillies the rest of the season. I mean, he really did step up, step in, and step out and become a great pitcher for the Phillies when they needed one, to really shore up that rotation. I mean, because losing Wheeler was huge, but he stepped in there and he did a great job.
He
So
did.
you make an
And
excellent point.
and what's crazy is up until Wheeler went down, he was only the third pitcher in that lineup.
Yeah.
And that to me is crazy. That just shows how much talent the Phillies had this year in their pitching rotation, and how they really didn't show up against the Dodgers, and it wasn't the pitching's fault.
No.
It wasn't the pitching's fault. It was purely because their bats fell asleep. They were already ready to go to Cancun when that series started. It looked like
they were at nap time when the Dodgers came into town.
Yeah.
It's
No, Mr. Yamamoto, 5 more minutes, please. Speaking of, you guys can hear me, right?
Yeah, we
right
can.
now, yes,
Okay,
can.
just checking. I didn't want you guys laughing at my invisible joke, so.
All right, so now we'll switch on to Rookie of the Year. Red Sox, Roman Anthony. The A's, Jacob Wilson. And got to say this name articulately, the A's, Nick Kurtz. Craig, who do you think gets Rookie of the Year for the American League?
I'd love to see it be the Red Sox. But who was the first A's again? Sorry.
It was where did it go? Hold on. It was Nick Kurtz and Jacob Wilson were the two from the A's.
Yeah, I think Wilson is going to have a better shot than Kurtz would. But I like to see the Red Sox get that one. I do. Do I think he's going to get it? I don't. Honestly, I don't know. I really don't know which way it's going to go.
I would love to see Roman Anthony get it, because when he came up, once he got called up from Boston, that offense was otherworldly, and he was great defensively. The mistakes that he made early on were very quickly rectified. The slow bat he had at the start was very quickly rectified. And Boston was a different team when he was in the lineup. But Jacob Wilson and Nick Kurtz both had insane seasons. I lean more towards Kurtz than I do Jacob Wilson, but I think that this is one where there's actually a true conversation, but I think it ends up landing with Kurtz. Ando, what do you think, man?
You know what? Mr. Kurtz, I like him winning it, but this is one of those. See, you don't get yourself in a pickle if you go Mr. Kurtz. So I'm going to take myself completely out of that fire that I don't need to put myself into. But no, honestly, this is one of those races, looking at their numbers. If you had a 3-sided coin or a 3-sided dice, I don't think you could go wrong on any of the choices that you make. I think each one of them make a very strong case. If I had to put my hat in the ring, I think Mr. Kurtz gets it, just because the way that he exploded into the scene. What he hit 3 home runs in his first game. Did he hit for the cycle? I want to say he hit for the cycle once this year. And you see players in the ball game never do that. Only a handful of times has it ever been done. I would like Kurtz, but again, this is one of those where I think everybody has a dog in the fight. I'm not going to be discouraged or hurt if Mr. Kurtz doesn't win it. All 3 of them have a rightful claim to Rookie of the Year this year.
The best game that you're talking about with Nick Kurtz is back in July. He had a 6-for-6 game. He was 6-for-6 at the plate, 19 total bases. He had 4 home runs in that game.
Yep.
Just insane. Some guys go their whole career without ever doing that. It was a spectacle when Shohei did what he did in the World Series with getting walked 5 times in the game, going 3 for 3.
Yeah. Going 8 for 8, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it's and that's kind of stuff like that's why I lean towards Kurtz. But
Yeah.
if whoever gets it, I think it's you can't really go wrong. I agree with that one.
It's definitely not a situation where it's, hey, we have two really good pitchers and then let's throw one or two really good batters and let's throw Juan Soto's name on the mix. Like it's not that all of them have a claim for it.
All right, our National League Rookie of the Year candidates: Gold Glove winning Cade Horton from the Cubs, Caleb Durbin from the Brewers, and he was a infielder, and then Drake Baldwin, the catcher from Atlanta. Craig, I'll let you take this one first. Who do you like?
Oh man. I saw the Cubs a lot in spring training. I'm gonna go with the kid, with the Cubs.
He got a Gold Glove. I think that says something.
Yeah,
That's kind of where I'm at too.
And I'm dude, totally in agreement. Don't get me wrong. Who was it? Baldwin and who's the kid from the Brewers?
Caleb Durbin.
Yep, they played really great baseball to start their season off, but Rookie of the Year, I think, has to have that extra level to it. And when you have a guy who's already a Golden Glove in his first season, and those other two guys can't claim that they got it, you kind of got to lean towards Tucker.
yeah. That's my thought.
I like Horton. He did really good. Stellar player. What's up, Mo? I see you there, buddy. I think the Cade has the best case, especially with the Gold Glove. As a rookie, winning a Gold Glove, I think should make you a shoo-in for Rookie of the Year. Unless there were rookies that won for other positions, I think that's a pretty stellar compliment. All right. And then of the other awards that they've announced the nominees for, we'll go with lastly here, the Manager of the Year. Again, we'll start with the American League. We've got John Snyder from the Jays, Stephen Voigt from the Indians, and then Dan Wilson from the Mariners. I'm gonna take this one first. I like John Schneider. The bar of expectation for the Jays was so fucking low this year. There was not a single major analyst that had them above fourth in the division. Even Jays fans were basically out on the season going into the year. I have friends that are Jays fans that were feeding me information from fan groups and stuff like that, and a lot of people were out on the team this year. And John Schneider managed to get that team together and managed to get them into the World Series. And to me, I think that's stellar. Craig, what do you think?
I agree. And also, he was your doppelganger. I mean, he made you look even better looking. I mean, all you needed was a Blue Jays hat, and you guys could have been twinsies.
Don't take that, Steven. No Blue Jay, no Red Sox fans never take that for the Blue Jays, man.
You know what? There's a lot worse people that I've been compared to. I'll take John Snyder. Honestly, I'll take that one. I get sick of hearing.
I liked his interviews. I just like the guy. I mean, he's humble. He's a baseball guy.
He's a gamer.
He's a gamer. Yeah.
A lot of and I will say this. He did an intentional walk more times than anybody this year, but they also had the second best record in baseball.
Yep.
He wasn't stupid intentionally walking Shohei 5 times in Game 3. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was telling the Dodgers, "You're going to beat me with somebody else. I'm not losing to this guy." And that was probably the smartest thing he could have done. He gave his team more chances to get it figured out and try to get that dub than if he hadn't. So I think that John Snyder's a clear choice. I think if it wasn't Snyder, I think it would be Dan Wilson. But Snyder had too good of a season to just ignore. as far as being a skipper is concerned. And then we look at the National League.
That hurts, 7. We're just going to skip over my opinion. All right, we're just going to skip over my opinion. I get it.
Mariners fans don't matter.
Erika, you are not, sir. Be the proper mediator of this damn podcast, sir.
If I was Erika, I would have said Marlins fans don't matter.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. What I will say is this: the Mariners had a hell of a season, and in any other worldly situation, I would say Dan Wilson wins American League Manager of the Year. But I am going to put my Mariner bias aside. To have a team go from last to first in the division, take out the defending AL champions in 4 games in the ALDS, and then take a red hot Mariners team coming off of that amazing series against the Tigers, taking them to 7, and then taking the defending champions to 7. Says a lot about the leadership at the top of that organization, and that is why I will agree and say John Schneider should win Manager of the Year in AL.
National
Not what you were
League.
expecting. Not what you were expecting. Was it 7?
I gave you enough credit. I had a feeling that's where you were leaning.
Okay. All right, just checking.
National League Manager of the Year. Terry Francona for the Reds, Pat Murphy for the Brewers, and Rob Thompson for the Phillies. Ando, what did you think?
Definitely not Francona, because I don't think he did enough with the Reds. Yeah, you got to the playoffs, but then you got shellacked by the Dodgers. No. I know you like Terry Francona because he used to manage the Red Sox, so I will keep my disdain for him at a minimum. Beyond that, I think the Brewers manager should. I don't think a lot of people had the Brewers making it to the NLCS on their bingo card. And then as the season went on, it was kind of like, hey, look, the sky's the limit. We've overtaken the Cubs as the best team in the Central. Holy crap, we got a really solid team to contend with the Phillies and the Dodgers in the NL. It's unfortunate they ran into the bandsaw, the saw that was the Dodgers, because they tore everybody up in the playoffs. Not to take anything away from the Phillies manager, but I think the Brewers grew more during the season, especially from last year. Yeah, I think the Brewers get my vote on that.
Craig?
Brewers. That was a special team. I mean, especially after Bob Uecker passed away. I mean,
Yeah.
that team really bonded. And that was a fun team to watch. It was a fun team to watch him manage. I mean, yeah, I'm going to go with him also.
I'm in the same boat. As much as obviously I like Terry Francona, Tito is an amazing dude. The same reason for Snyder we have for the Brewers skipper, Dan Wilson. The bar was so low for the Brewers. And they came from the bottom of the division to the best team in baseball. That's leadership. Plain and simple, that's leadership. And so I hope that he gets it. I hope that he gets recognized for what he's done. And should the Brewers not continue to grow and invest that team and they end up moving on from him, I hope he gets the ability to manage a club that is going to, because I think that's he will take that team very far.
We talked about during the season. Remember, we talked about that this team is young. They're young and dumb, and not dumb being derogatory, but dumb as far as they don't know how good they are. They don't know how talented they are. They just go out there and play ball. And you have a manager that let him be. He didn't try and outsmart himself. He didn't try and fix what wasn't broken. And a lot of times that's what makes a great manager. They recognize what they have, and they're not going to mess with it.
I agree. For me, it's one of those things where he didn't try to reinvent the wheel. He kept him humble. He kept him consistent. And for me, I feel like if you're going to, when you're going to do that with a team like that, it is absolutely, it is completely reasonable that he should get recognized for it.
Yep.
You know, when Ned Yost turned around the Royals and gave that organization what was probably the two best seasons they've ever had in 2014 and 2015, he got recognized for it. Nobody, especially after losing in the World Series in 2014, nobody expected the Royals to bounce back the way they did in 2015. And he was recognized for what he did. And I think that's the purpose of this award, especially for managers, is what were you able to truly accomplish? It's not just about the win-loss record. It's what do you see when you read between those lines? And while there are cases for all three of those gentlemen, I think the best case is for the Brewers manager. He did the most.
What's the culture like in your clubhouse? And for the Brewers, it's a really solid, really fun culture that they got right now.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we've talked about that a lot this year, and I agree. Okay, so we've talked about the awards. Their season has come to an end. We are now starting to look towards the winter meetings, the World Baseball Classic, and the start of the season next year. Probably one of the biggest pieces of news that has come out over the last couple of days. Yu Darvish got a flexor strain repair and the internal brace surgery and will be out for the 2026 season. Craig, I know you've got your pulse a lot more on the National League. What kind of impact is that going to have on the Padres pitching staff for 2026?
Huge. I mean, he's a leader in the clubhouse. He's a leader on that staff. It's huge. It's huge. I mean, they lose what 20, at least 20 wins right there straight off the bat. You know, maybe 23 wins. You know, how do you replace them? It's going to be really hard.
I agree. You know, and that's the hard thing is you had a lot out of him this year when it came to his results, and I know that there wasn't always, you know, like a super huge expectation, especially because he only had 15 starts this year. Officially he went 5-5, but Yu Darvish at his peak, you're right. That's a 20-win season. And to lose that arm and that leadership, and you know, when a guy that has the knowledge of like what 12 different pitches that he can throw,
yeah, and teach,
like that's a rough loss. Hopefully he's going to stay around the team enough that he can still provide some of that guidance so that the rest of the team can kind of grow around it. Because like when you look at their rotation, you're going to see Nick Pivetta as your ace next year. And then Joe Musgrove, if he comes back, which I'm sure he will. But you know, he's 32, so you never know. And he did have a ERA just south of 4. I think Nick Pivetta, if it wasn't for how good the other options that we saw, I think Nick Pivetta was probably 4th for Cy Young. Because he had an unreal season. And I wish that he was still in a Red Sox uniform. I absolutely love him. But I think it's a tough blow to their clubhouse, the rotation, and the development that they're going to have for some of their younger guys. Ando, did you have any thoughts on the loss of Yu Darvish for the 2026 season?
Darvish is 39, which means that he will be 40 years of age when he comes back for the 2026, 2020, or the 2027 season. Does he make it to the age 40, or does he officially say, hey, this injury's too much, I'm going to retire? And I really can't say that that's a downside because we just saw Max Scherzer at 41, pitch a hell of a game 7 in a starting spot. So I mean, it can be done, but you said it yourself. Darvish went 5-5. He missed the first 3 months because of elbow inflammation.
Which is why he got the surgery.
Yep. I don't want to be that guy that says know when to quit, but I think Darvish would have more of an impact with the Padres. Kind of like Craig said, in a teaching form, have him be the pitching coach. Hey, I know how to throw the curve like this. Maybe make a change to the younger guys that are coming in. Change your fundamentals with your curveball pitch like that. I think at this point, move Darvish away from an active role, put him into coaching. I think he'd be a really awesome fit for that.
Well, because you kind of have to ask, are you going to get, when he's coming in for his age 40 season, are you going to get Max Scherzer or are you going to get Justin Verlander?
Yeah. Do you want to risk that as a Padre? I mean, you're still going to be in the same division with the Giants, who could be on the upswing if the manager move works right. You're still going to be competing with the Dodgers, who could be looking at a three-peat if they kind of have it their way. Diamondbacks were pretty solid as a team. I know that they traded away some pieces, so we may see some more pieces come into the Diamondbacks and they start over. Yeah, I mean, it leaves a lot of questions, especially with that injury. I mean, I loved Darvish when he pitched, when he first came into the league in 2013, 2014. But I think at this point, it's just kind of, I don't think he seems like the type of person who's not going to say, hey, I'm coming back automatically. He's going to look at his options, look at how the surgery is going, and make a relatively, not even relative. He's going to make the smart decision.
Well said. We did see, where did it go? There it is. Where was it? We did see some opt-outs and some opt-ins. The Braves picked up Chris Sale's $18 million option for 2026. Mm-hmm. I still stand by my thought that they should have traded him. I don't think he's a player that's going to age well, especially with his injury issues. So
you're just jealous that Sales pitched well for the Braves and not the Red Sox. Don't be salty.
Fuck Chris Sale.
I love rubbing that wound. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You can enjoy it while you watch all those Mariners World Series highlights.
Oh, look at that. I'm done. I'm done. I'm sorry. Didn't Sale won a World Series with the Braves, right?
He won a World Series with the Red Sox.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, at least
he did not. Yeah, in 2018, he did not go to the Braves until after their World Series season in 2021.
Okay. All right. Well, I tried. You kept the steak pretty well seasoned there, sir.
Yeah. Jack Flaherty staying with the Tigers. He picked up his $20 million option. As we mentioned earlier, Shane Bieber is staying with the Blue Jays. He has a $16 million option.
And I think that's a really smart move. With as young as that rotation is, especially with guys like Savage, Bieber has so much that he could teach Savage this upcoming season now that he's going to have a full year in the league.
Bieber, Scherzer, Trey Savage is in a really good position.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that kid is going to be in a really good position to learn so much, and he could be the next Scooble or Skeens or Crochet in that young ace type role that's really going to just be consistent every time he steps on the mound. I guess the thing that'll be working against him the most is when he steps on the mound in 2026, because of how well he performed once he got called up.
Yeah.
It's actually going to be harder for him, I feel like, because that bar is going to be that much higher. And even though this next season will actually be when he's eligible for Rookie of the Year, a lot of these veteran guys are going to be gunning for him.
Yeah.
Because watching him eat up all those good hitters in the postseason,
yep.
He's going to have a target on his back.
Yeah. He'll have expectations coming right out of the gate in 2026.
I agree. All right, and then as we mentioned a little bit earlier, Bruce Bochy has signed on to be a special advisor for the Giants with new manager Tony Vitello. And so, Craig, I know you said that you wanted to speak on that and also repent a little bit from your opinion post them hiring Tennessee baseball coach Tony Vitello.
Yes. First of all, smart move by the Giants to bring Bochy back. I mean, he is going to be an excellent um, sounding board for Vitello. Bochy will not interfere. Bochy will not overstep his bounds. He knows his place with the Giants, and he will not be there to interfere with Vitello. I listened to his press conference on the radio, and then I watched it through YouTube. Um, and I'm going to withhold my judgment on the fact that he never has any professional experience. Um, I liked what he had to say. He addressed right off the bat, his no experience in Major League Baseball. He addressed that and moved on from there. I liked his answer. Um, he's going to bring a lot of energy to that clubhouse, and he addressed the issue with the veterans. He's going to go out and he's going to visit those veterans. Um, he's going to meet them at their homes and sit down with them and talk to them about what his plans are, what his thoughts are. So he's opened up to communication right away. It's not the Tony way or the highway. It's he's humble enough and smart enough to realize there's a lot he doesn't know, but he's willing to learn. But he also is not willing to just be a punching bag. I mean, he's going to be the leader. He's going to be the voice in that clubhouse. And there's going to be one voice, and it's going to be his voice in leadership. And so I respect that. I think it's a great way of approaching it. And I'm looking forward to watching him manage the team. And with Bruce Bochy back in the fold, that's just awesome. That's just great.
I think bringing Bruce Bochy back as an advisor, I think that was a smart move. I think that if you're going to try and help establish Vitello as a true skipper in the professional level, having somebody behind him like that is going to be great. Craig Breslow, when he got brought in as the chief baseball officer of the Red Sox, the first thing they did was bring in Theo Epstein as a special advisor. Theo Epstein's job is to help Craig Breslow learn how to do his. And obviously that has worked out well. When you have somebody that's not just familiar with the game, but the organization and what the organization wants to accomplish and the way that they like to do things and the culture, it helps. Because once Breslow left the Red Sox as a player, he got into the business side of baseball, but until he got brought in as a chief baseball officer, he had been working with the Cubs. And so he didn't understand the culture. He didn't he didn't understand the business side of the market the way that Theo Epstein did. And so, having that person in your ear is hugely impactful. And I think that that's going to be to Vitello's benefit. I've said before, and I'll say it again, I am not a big fan of giving somebody the keys to the organization of a professional organization when they've never done any coaching in the league. And I stand by that, but I'm open to being wrong with that because there are exceptions to rules. And when you have somebody that knows the game like Bruce Bochy in your ear, you have much more of a chance of success because it just comes down to listening. And he's going to have to do a lot of that. Listening to Bruce, listening to Buster, listening to all of those top tier veteran guys and making sure that the culture is what it needs to be not just what he wants it to be, but what the players need, and what they need for success. And I hope that this is what helps foster a return to success for the Giants that people expect realistically, because the Giants are. Go ahead.
No, you said the word culture, and that's a throwaway word to some people, but you really nailed it. I mean, there is such a thing as culture in Major League Baseball and in the clubhouse. And Vitello was sensitive to that. He mentioned that, and stuff that the history of the Giants, and the culture of the Giants, and he wants nothing to do as far as disrupting that whatsoever. I'll be curious what happens with coaching. Are any of the coaches going to be retained, or and who has the voice as far as who decides who's going to be hired as a coach? Vitello has some thought, I'm sure, but now with Bochy being on board, and especially with Posey, I expect them to have a lot of say in who gets interviewed for the coaching jobs.
It's no, and I think you're right, and it's he has to have a say. I mean, he's the skipper of the team. He's got to have a say, but at the same time, Vitello has to be able to listen when Bruce Bochy says you need to bring in Alyssa Nakin for the bench coach job, at least to listen. He's got to give her that chance to sit down in front of him and show her why she's been given this opportunity, not just with the Giants, but with the Cleveland organization, and or whoever else, just that's just an example, but like whoever else they decide to bring in, they have to allow his input in that, because if Buster Posey says Alyssa Nakin is your bench coach, and he doesn't, and their management styles clash, that does not benefit either one of them.
Yep.
And so I think that's, he definitely has to have a seat at the table. He has to have a voice, but he also has to be willing to listen to what Bruce and Buster have to say.
No, and I think in the right state of mind, I think everybody's going to get along. I don't think Buster would have brought the manager from Tennessee without being able to see some. Buster seems like the type of guy to do his homework. So I think at the beginning, Buster will lay down what he's expecting. I expect Buster to not be hands-on, but he's going to play a lot of what Carly Ursay is doing in Indianapolis. I think he's going to be monitoring. I don't think he'll be directly hands-on, but he'll be kind of monitoring and making sure everybody plays nice. And if people don't bring what they need to the table, we'll hear about it from Buster. But Buster is a championship player for 3 Giants teams, because he was a catcher for all 3 of the Giants championships in their even winning seasons. Yep. So he knows what it takes to win. He's going to bring that caliber of attention to detail to the table. But you don't bring pieces in to an organization without doing your homework and having an idea or a plan to make all of those puzzle pieces fit. It may take a year or two. Again, the Giants are in the same division as the goddamn Dodgers, who are back-to-back World Series champions. But I think if not immediately, probably a year and a half, 2 years, we'll see this paying dividends. I think we'll be talking different about the Giants.
Yeah, and I think, because if you just put pieces together and force it to work without doing your homework, you get the New York Mets.
I was going to say Miami Marlins, but yeah, we can do the New York Mets.
No, that's the Miami Marlins is when you don't invest in a team, you don't care. You just want to, meet the minimum expectation to be able to get your fucking profit share. That's
players.
That's the Marlins. But for the Mets, that was just, we're just going to throw shit together and see what happens. Like some of those nasty ass casseroles you see those basic bitches putting together on Facebook videos. Like, what are you doing?
As long as you're not putting raisins in your potato salads, ladies and gentlemen, please do not do that. For the love of God, do not put raisins in your potato salad. They do not belong there.
I have to work hard to get invited to barbecues because of white people putting raisins in potato salad. That's all I'm going to say.
Thanks a lot, Craig.
That's not me. Hell no.
He knows better than that.
Shit.
So this is our final episode of the season. We may, at least I will pop back up for the winter meetings, but I'm sure we'll probably plan an episode once that concludes, and so we can kind of talk about where things are at in the major trades. And then we will be back probably tail end of February to get ready for the World Baseball Classic and spring training. As we close out this final episode, I'm going to give everybody else a chance to share their final thoughts before I share mine. Ando, final thoughts closing out the 20-25 baseball season.
Look, if you are not the New York Mets, you have a lot to hang your hat on, right? Great seasons, great expectations. The Mets fucked it up. Part of my language, but the parental advisory is up there in the corner above Craig's head. No, man, for this being my first year that I've really followed baseball, probably since 2003, when I was still in high school, because I had time to pay attention to stuff like that. I had a lot of fun. Being a part of this podcast has kind of opened my views and attentions for not just the Mariners, but for teams in general. Great season by the Mariners. Great season by the Blue Jays. Great season by the Dodgers, I suppose, because Erika's not here to defend her team. But no, I'm excited. Let's get ready for 2026, ladies and gentlemen. And as always, FRM, for those of you who don't know, fuck Rob Manfred.
Craig, your final thoughts for the season?
Wow, it went by fast. Went by real fast. It was a very entertaining season. I'm looking forward to next year. I'm looking forward to next year's spring training. I'm hoping we can all get together in spring training, like we've been talking about doing, and doing a show together from Arizona. That'd be kind of fun. I want to shout out to Erika. I mean, she's been asking a couple of shows, but when she was on, she was always very entertaining. She's very knowledgeable. I'm looking forward to getting her input next season on the women's league, and the college women's league. She's very good at that. She's very challenging to me. I like that. And she's a Dodger fan, so we have to overlook that sometimes. But it's been a fun season, and it went by real fast. And look forward to the off season, see what goes on, especially with the World Baseball Classic. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Especially you got Judge on the team, and it's gonna be fun. And Rally, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a legit team.
It is. No, yeah, you're 100% right. I'm looking forward to the World Baseball Classic this year. I think that, I definitely always have concerns about stuff like that, especially with like pitching injuries and stuff like, and things like that when it comes to the Classic. But I think it's ultimately, it's the World Cup of baseball, and every team in every other sport that has a World Cup, they all contribute players. So there's no reason why we shouldn't see that. Just like we'll see it with the NFL when it comes to the baseball being in the Olympics, or to football being in the Olympics when the next Summer Olympics rolls around. But I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to next year being able to cover more of the National Women's Softball League, and then the Women's Professional Baseball League as well. There's been a lot of good content already coming out from the Women's Professional Baseball League. If you have not followed their page, you should. They are definitely building the foundation of the league on the history of the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League from the late 40s, early 50s. And I that was the one thing I needed to see. And so now for me, being able to look forward to see that next season, along with the other great baseball that we're going to see in the Classic, as well as all next season, I'm excited. I think that we're going to see some amazing feats. I think that we're going to see some players step up, and hopefully we're going to see the Boston Red Sox as World Series champions, because that's what I need to see.
No, sir, you're officially going to see. We're going to see us rise. The Mariners are going to take it this year.
it's I think next year we're going to see a lot of good baseball, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to covering that with these guys. I'm looking forward to Erika being back with us next year. Hopefully we can make some time to talk some college ball next year as well. Because I think that gives us the ability to kind of branch out and expand what we're talking about with the game. But ultimately, as long as we're talking about baseball and softball in some sense, I'm going to be happy. That's what I love to talk about.
Yeah.
As we wrap up our season here with the Wire to Wire Sports Network, they've got a lot of great shows that will be continuing on. So if you're not following the Wire to Wire Sports Network, you definitely should be. We wouldn't have made the progress that we did this year without them. So to them, we say thank you. Also, Podcast Name Deferred does have its own page on Facebook. So if you are not currently following that, please go and like it. Once we get to the point where we have over 100 followers, I can actually just have the show on our Facebook page, which would kind of be nice. And I would love to see that page start to gain some traction. I will be posting more content there throughout the winter and going into the spring and all next season. So please definitely check it out. As we wrap up tonight, I'm going to close with a video that kind of shows what all Wire to Wire Sports Network does, so you can get an idea for the different shows. Maybe start looking for something that you would be interested in and topics that you enjoy. For my co-hosts Ando and my right-hand man Craig, thank you all for supporting us this year. We appreciate you very much, and we will see you next season right here on Podcast Name Deferred. Have a good night, everybody.